Wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
Hi guys. Well, today I wanted to have another moan. We're coming up to Christmas and as usual there's loads of games coming out. Now, one, I don't know why they don't spread them a bit more throughout the year. That makes a lot more sense to me. Then you could spread out how much you're spending. But the bigger problem is that we're spending more and more on these games that come out every year. I just got FIFA for my birthday and that's been trying to milk people for years with its Ultimate Team. Now I play that every year like an idiot. I buy the new version, which is virtually the same as the last version except for with new team rosters and a couple of new moves. And then they try and milk you dry with the Ultimate Team, as I say. But I've never actually bought into the Ultimate Team thing. It doesn't appeal to me in the first place, but even if it did, on principle I wouldn't buy it. I'm not just going to be spending more and more and more money on what in effect is microtransactions. And that brings me to the issue at hand today, really. DLC, day one DLC, microtransactions, season passes, you name it. You don't just buy a game anymore. Used to be a time when I wouldn't pay more than, say, £35 for a game, but that's not realistic anymore. Well, okay, I've accepted that. But now we're being asked to pay £35 or more for a season pass. And that brings me to another EA game, and that's Star Wars Battlefront that's being released this year. Now, quite a lot of people have played the beta of that. I'm not one of them. I didn't actually get into the beta. I didn't have the time to play it, unfortunately. I would have liked to. The game looks absolutely stunning and I would like to play it. But I'd also like to state here and now that I won't be playing it. And the reason I won't be playing it is cost. And there's a principle at stake here as well. I'd love to play the game. I love Star Wars. I love first-person shooters. What's not to like? Well, as I say, what's not to like is cost. If I go through the prices of the game, the standard edition in the UK, and this is if you've got EA Access, which I have, so I presume it's a little bit more expensive for those without EA Access. With EA Access, the standard edition is £49.49, £49.49. Well, okay, that's not too bad. About normal as you would expect. The deluxe edition ramps that up to £58.49. And the Ultimate Edition, and this is with EA Access, so you're already paying a yearly fee. Okay, you get other things as well, but it's £94.49. £94.49. Now you could buy the standard edition and not the Ultimate Edition or whatever and then go and buy the Season Pass later because the Season Pass is included with the Ultimate Edition. But the Season Pass is £39.99. £39.99 and I understand it's $50 in the US. I mean, if this isn't a what the fuck moment, I don't know what is. I mean... And the thing is, it's an online-only game, okay? So, being that it's an online-only game, you're not really going to be able to play it without the Season Pass now, are you? Because you're going to go online and you're going to find yourself unable to play against people because they've got the Season Pass and you haven't. So if you want to play this game, you're going to have to pay it. You're going to have to pay for the Season Pass. And it's just not acceptable. Not only is it not acceptable, I was looking at a video by the guy at ReviewTek USA. I'll put a link in. And he was making the point that it's unsustainable. You know, paying £100 or more for a game, and there will almost certainly be microtransactions in the game as well. You know, it is EA after all. £90, £100 for a game, and then other charges on top as time goes on. It simply isn't sustainable. I agree with him. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. We can't afford it. Even if you're an adult with a decent paying job, you cannot afford to be paying these prices on games. You know, over Christmas, if you were to buy Star Wars Battlefront, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Halo 5 Guardians, say, you could be paying 300, 350, 400, I don't know how much you could be paying at the end of it all. And I'm going to do another video on Tomb Raider, the Rise of the Tomb Raider, because, well, that's getting even more silly. So, you know... We've got an unsustainable model here, but I would take it even further than that. you know, I would say that this is going to have a knock-on effect on the way we perceive games. Because as time goes on, if you're a retro gamer in 10 years' time, say, and you wanted to buy Star Wars Battlefront, say you could get hold of a copy of an Xbox One, say you already had an Xbox One and you didn't have Star Wars Battlefront, you go out and you get yourself a second-hand copy of Star Wars Battlefront. Well, all the DLC is digital, isn't it? Well, where are you going to get that DLC from? Because the servers are not up anymore, perhaps, you know? If they're not offering that service anymore, if they're not offering that DLC anymore, you're not going to be able to play the full game, are you? Never mind the fact that it's online only, so it's going to be redundant. There's no point playing the game in the future because it is only online. And it's making the gaming culture into a throwaway culture. You know, it stops being an art form. There is no sense of it being an art form. It is purely a commodity. It's like cornflakes. You have it, you use it, you get rid of the box or whatever. There is no longevity, there is no continuity, there is no sense of worth attached to it. And that's a real problem going forward. I want games to be an art form, and I understand that they're a business as well, and they're a multi-million-dollar industry. You know, it's bigger in terms of the money spent now than the film industry. But without the element of art to it, without it having something more, then, as I say, it just being a commodity is not something I'm interested in. I don't want to just be milked and to have more and more and more and more money taken off me year on year for less and less of a return. You know, the stories in some of these games now, even if they bother to tack on an offline mode, is often woeful, with very little attention to detail, very little plot, very little characterisation or character development. And I wonder where the classic games of the future are going to come from. Because, okay, I know some of them are going to be looked back on fondly, but if you can't play a game in the future, what's its purpose then? You know, stick it behind a glass case in a museum of games or something? Because there's no other reason to play it. There is no reason to play it in the future. So I think the gaming industry need to look a bit more long term and try and create some sort of legacy for themselves. Because at the moment, it's all about the money. And you can't sustain a business when all it's about is the money. We've seen businesses go down the toilet before because they didn't treat their customers with any respect. And gaming could go that way. I doubt it because, well, you know, there's always the fanboys out there prepared to throw money, you know, good money after bad. And frankly, some of them, you could stick a Halo sign on a brick and they'd buy it. You could stick a PlayStation sign on a brick and they'd buy it and then go on about how great the graphics were. But, you know, for the rest of us, for people out there in the real world who aren't walking around with their rose-tinted glasses on and will buy absolutely anything that they're sold, like, you know, sheep lining up to be fleeced. For the rest of us, I think we're pretty sick of it. And we'd like to see a bit more. We'd like to see a little bit more respect shown to the people who actually pay the wages. And that's the people buying the products. Alright, that's all I've got to say for today. I will be doing another video about some of the other games that are coming out this Christmas. Surprisingly enough, there will be a similar theme. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.
Wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.